Okay, welcome everyone. We are just live and we are having a recording of this webinar. So as you join us, we're waiting a couple of minutes for everyone to join. We've got about 37 registration for this webinar today. And I think at the moment there's 15 participants. So I think as you join the workshop, if you can connect to Klaxoon, so then you will be ready to do the interactive session later on during the workshop. But you can register and connect to Klaxoon just now, as we are waiting for more participants. And so maybe just like Olivier did, if you can type in the chat box your name, surname, and organization, that would be helpful for everyone to see who is with us today during our workshop. And like I said before, we had about 37 registration, but at the moment only 16 participants. So we wait maybe 2 or 3 more minutes before starting for everyone to join. And so Jennifer just put in the Klaxoon link so you can connect to the app. So you will be ready for the interactive session that we're going to go through after the short presentation that we will have. Okay, I think there's 19 participants. So maybe we'll wait another minute before starting, because we are expecting over 30 people. So just to make sure everyone can join us. And if you just join, you can type in your name and surname in the chat box so everyone can see who is with us today during the workshop. You can also connect using the link for the Klaxoon app, so then you will be ready for the interactive session. Okay, I think we're going to get starting because we've got quite a lot to go through today, including those interactive sessions. So I really want everyone to have time to participate. So thank you everyone for joining us today to our fourth workshop on developing a methodology to support companies with structuring and implementing ambitious low carbon strategies. And this workshop aims at gathering your feedback and opinions on key aspects of method and tools to develop a low carbon strategy, which is truly embedded into business strategy. So your contribution is very appreciated, and your participation is also a good opportunity to understand more about the ACT step-by-step methodology and more generally about climate accountability for businesses. This development work will last until January 2021 and is led by ADEME, the French Agency for Ecological Transition, with support from a consortium of 3 consultancies. And we will do a quick roundtable of who is panelists today. So my name is Lisa Bertrand, and I'm working at ADEME for the ACT initiative, and I'm leading on governance and business development. I also have my colleague Edouard with me today, who is going to introduce himself as well.
Hello everybody, thanks Lisa for the introduction. So my name is Edouard Fordrin. I work for the ACT initiative for 4 years now, and I'm involved in the methodology development of ACT, but also in the implementation of the French voluntary program. And for this session, I will manage Q&A sessions. So do not hesitate to ask your questions thanks to the Q&A box, and whenever you want, and we will manage and we will deal with your question during specific and dedicated time slots.
Thank you, Edouard. Maybe Jennifer, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. I'm Jennifer from Eco2 Initiative, and I will facilitate the Klaxoon interactive session with Ilaria later in the workshop.
Thank you, Jennifer. And maybe Antoine and then Ilaria from Utopie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I am Antoine Join. I work for Utopie, and with Ilaria we will work mostly on the strategy toolbox part of the ACT step-by-step program.
Thank you, Antoine.
And yes, hi everyone. I'm Ilaria, and I work, of course, with Antoine at Utopie on climate impacts and strategies.
Thank you, Ilaria. So if we go to the next slide. So the ACT initiative was founded by ADEME and CDP, and this is just a brief summary with context, because I think today we've got some new participants, so I know this is going to not be new to most of you, but it might be important for a few of you who joined today to have some information about the context of this work. So as a brief summary, the ACT initiative was founded by ADEME and CDP, and it does develop an accountability framework, including sector-specific assessment methodologies. And ACT assessments provide recommendations to companies to align their strategies with their individual low-carbon pathways. And an ACT assessment, as results, provide rating, which can be used by investors, policymakers, and NGOs to make investment decisions, design impactful policies, or raise public awareness. There's also a feedback report that goes with an ACT assessment. But then on the other hand, companies express the need for support with structuring and implementing low carbon strategies. We can go back just to the previous slide, sorry, Lara. Yeah. And so the ACT step-by-step, which is the reason why we are meeting today, is a more progress standard, and it can take a couple of years from development to implementation, whereas an ACT assessment can take around 5 days from data collection to completion of the feedback reports. And we can see that there is an iterative cycle between an ACT step-by-step implementation and an assessment. We can go to the next slide. And the ACT step-by-step approach is based on the 9 strategic levers identified in the ACT assessment methodology. Each module includes few indicators, and these are the basis for the 6 steps improvement process of the ACT step-by-step methodology. Each step includes specific tasks for the company to address relevant strategic levers and build its ambitious low carbon strategy. Next slide, thank you. And the ACT step-by-step development project includes 8 workshops. So today this is number 4. And all workshops are on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. CET and last 1 hour. And we will send upcoming webinars registration links, so you can register to all the workshop participants. Now we're going to do a quick summary of what happened during workshop 3, which was about the carbon performance assessment toolbox. Yeah, and so last workshop, number 3, we had 21 participants. We had a bit more representation from consultancies, a bit less from companies, and we're really trying to get more participants from companies because this is really important. And we put in place a number of actions to do so. We want to increase participation of companies. And if you can help us in achieving this, that would be really appreciated. We ask participants to provide their thoughts on key advantages and the features of the carbon performance toolbox, as well as its architecture. And this is what you can see on the right-hand side. Those are some screenshots from the Klaxoon tools that we use to collect participants' contribution on this different topic. Next slide. And so today we will ask your views on the strategy toolbox, which will be introduced to you by Antoine from Utopie. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa just explained the ACT step-by-step process is composed of 6 steps from current situation to monitoring and implementing change. And with the strategy toolbox, we will mostly cover step 2 on issue and challenges, step 3 on vision, step 4 on strategy design. And the main objective of the strategy toolbox is to provide tools, methodology, and organization recommendation to a company to cover all the action in the step 2, 3, and 4. So we will present you today a first draft of our recommendation of tools and methodology. So we would like to have your point of view on this in the interactive session. But just on a briefly introduction, and we will go into more detail just after. When we talk about issues and challenges, we would like to suggest company to use an Excel matrix, which is inspired by a SWOT analysis and the TCFD framework. And this tool will help a company to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunity and threats regarding climate change strategy, of course, to do an analysis of the current strategy and to identify potential changes of the strategy. So this will be the first tools and methodology we will provide. On the vision, here we would like to provide a set of creativity techniques and organizations recommendation to help a company to build a long-term vision where should go the company in the climate change strategy. And then on the strategy design, we would like to suggest companies to use also an Excel matrix, an Excel tool with examples, inspired this time by Blue Ocean methodology to help the company to build a high-level strategy by domain and by function to identify the first steps of the strategy. And when we will have covered the step 2, 3, and 4, at the end of those 3 steps, the company should have a clear vision of the issues and challenges, a clear vision and strategy the company should reach regarding climate change. And the step after will be the definition of the concrete action plan. So as I told, this is the first draft, so we would like to have your point of view on that during the interactive session. We can, before move to the interactive session on Klaxon, we can check if there is any question. There is one question, I think, same as.
Yeah, one question, Antoine, about this point of view. Is this similar to Plan, Do, Check, Act, as we can see in terms of continuous improvement?
This Plan, Do, Check, Act approach is applicable to the whole Act step-by-step process, not only on the strategic toolbox, but on the 6 steps of the Act step-by-step process. Yes, we can say that it's the Plan, Do, Check, Act has inspired the 6 steps of the Act step-by-step process. Yes.
Okay, and maybe a clarification. Could you provide a clarification on TCFD, but maybe if you can provide more information, Antoine, on what is TCFD and what does it cover?
The TCFD is a framework built for the finance sector. It was the Task Force on Climate Financial Disclosure, and it's a methodology guidance or a framework that helps company to identify metrics, strategy, governance on the climate change transformation, especially for the financial sector. So this is a very used framework in the financial sector, and it gives us some guidelines also we can reuse for other sectors. But we will have more detail with the presentation today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And maybe we can send more explanation on TCFD after on.
Yeah.
We can switch to Klaxon.
Yes, thank you, Antoine. I put the link on the chat box, so you can join us on Klaxon. You just have to click on the link, enter your email address and password in case you have an account, or your name and surname, and then you can join the first activity, which is how are you doing, just to enter the session. And Ilaria is sharing her screen during all the session, so you can follow the different steps if in case you're lost.
Yes, so thank you for the introduction. Now the goal is really to get a little bit deeper in the details of each of the 3 steps and each of the 3 tools. What we'll do after every quick presentation is to ask you some questions to get your point of view or your insights on the tools. Normally, you should be able to follow the slides. There will be some slides at every step on the workshop on the Klaxon. So here on the tools, no need to get back to Zoom. Okay, great. So let's start from the first step, issues and challenges. Here we are already on a strategic thought. So if we can get to the following slide. I don't know if, okay, great. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay, thank you. Okay, great. So here, first step of the strategy process, we are already thinking strategy because we are analyzing the internal strengths and weaknesses, but also the external opportunities and threats related to the climate transition. how to make this as easy as possible. The strategy toolbox will provide SWOT metrics. Here you can see how the template will look like. It's of course just a part of it. Here we can only see the internal strengths, while in the full SWOT, of course, there will be internal weaknesses and also external opportunities and threats. The 6 categories, here you can see only policy and legal changes are, as Antoine anticipated, inspired by the TCFD, so the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure, and they suggest to think about transition changes like policies, market, or reputation, but also physical changes like acute and chronic events. Every item, so in this case, every strength related to climate policy or future stricter regulation will have to be qualified in terms of impact. So how much these will impact my business, and in terms of probability, the likelihood for this to occur. Of course, the tool will also provide a description for every one of those 6 categories in order to make the task as easy as possible. And in the next slide, we can see that these metrics will automatically produce a visual diagram where it will be easier to see the output of this first analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, divided by category, as you can see in the colored legend, and located in the graphs by impact and probability. So hoping that that was clear and short enough. We have some questions for you. So you have to click on participate. And the first one, of course, is how clear is the aim of the strategy analysis. So if there's any question, you can write it on the comments. There's a space dedicated to that.
Okay.
Yes. Then, of course, we ask you what categories are missing. Are the 6 categories of the matrix legal changes, technology changes, market changes, reputation, and physical changes enough? Is this complete enough? And you have one last question. We'd like you to know who should participate to this first step. What you think about it. And it's a multiple choice. So of course you can choose different categories and suggest more if this is not all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just seeing that the questions are not in the right order. I don't know why, so please keep the second one. If you have any more comments, you can add a comment or a question on the Zoom chat box. Thank you.
So we will leave you just 1 more minute to complete those quick first answer, and do not, of course, hesitate to write down your question if you have it. And we can skip. We can go to have a look to the answer. Normally, every one of you will be able to get a look to the answer of this first step. It looks that for 50% of you that was very clear. Okay, this is good because it's just the beginning. And maybe I wanted just to check who should participate. Board members. Well, board members and sustainable development officer and departments. with less participations of the operational team. Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is really necessary for us to build the strategy and make it fit the most with your business reality. We can start to have a look to the second step. At the end of all of this, there will be an interactive session to wrap these all up. So don't worry, we will have the chance to ask your more advices on the whole process at the end. So second step, defining a long-term vision. So we are passing from the first analysis of issues and challenges to really defining what your company, what our company will look like in a low carbon future. And this step will happen in a creative way, so through a workshop. And for this reason, our strategy toolbox will provide a catalog of different creativity techniques with description, definitions, but also printable resources that will make this as easy as possible. When we talk about creativity techniques, we are talking about brainstorming tools that through dialogue within and between groups of people, we get to decision making. And there are plenty of solutions, of course. Here you have 3 examples, but there are really a lot, and they vary in terms of level of creativity. Some are really encouraging the collaborative idea generation and to produce high level ambitions, while others are less ambitious but more easy to use. For example, here you can see the Disney creativity strategy. This is one of the most creative one. The teams are divided into dreamers that have to propose the most radical ambitions for the company, and those ideas have to pass the check of realists and critics. While other solutions like team idea mapping are less creative because ideas are just suggested by people and not built within the team, but it's easier. There's no need of longer explanation or no need of to remember complicated rules, while other solutions like the Work Cafe are both easy to use and also creative enough. Here, for example, it is a successive rounds of conversation between people. This is why I suggest to start the second activity. Here, what we want is to get your advice. So if you had already the chance to use any kind of creativity techniques within your company or participating to external workshops or webinar, any suggestion is more than welcomed. Here we already located in the graph the 3 options that I presented and qualified by degree of practicality. Is it easy? Is it well known? So no need for a long explanation. And for degree of creativity, is it facilitating does it encourage radical ideas? There's suggestions here, a list of options. Of course, you're not, you don't have to limit on that. Any kind of tools to facilitate a workshop here is welcomed. You can create a post-it and add an idea. You can also add some pictures if you want, just copying some image on your computer or on the internet and paste it directly in the activity. We can take some time here because it's not easy to immediately. Yeah, this is not so known, of course. Yeah, we agree. It is really interesting and ambitious, but it has rules to be explained and understood. So one of the limits is that probably requires an external facilitator. Work cafe. Yeah, less practical and more creative. Yeah, for those who don't know the work cafe, it requires space because groups have to move from table to table and start a conversation at every time, and ideas have to emerge. Reverse storming, never met that one. Yep.
Ilaria, while we are thinking about this session, there was a question from Olivier from the previous part about the SWOT analysis. Maybe we can try to answer this one. It was a little bit quick for him, and he proposed maybe, he asked the question, shouldn't we separate resources constraints from the global chronic impact category for the SWOT analysis? I don't know if you have an idea about that.
Can we separate chronic constraints from?
Resources constraints from the global chronic impact category.
I think Antoine wants to answer that.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. I wanted to reply on the chat.
Yeah.
Olivier, I think you are talking about resources on raw material or physical resources, I think, not financials or human resources. So if the response is yes, maybe we can have a different a category for physical resources or raw material resources, different than chronic impact. Yes. So maybe yes, it's a good idea. We can investigate to have different categories. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, Etienne. That was exactly what I had in mind.
Okay, thank you, Olivier.
Thank you, Antoine. I think we've got another question.
Yeah, another question from Camille about what is a starbursting. So I don't know who want to get this question, to answer this question.
Yeah, so and there's another question on the graph similar to that one, because you can see reverse storming. Reverse storming is a tool that suggests to think about possible vision that will not work instead of vision that will work. So for examples, in the context of climate, it can be what our company should absolutely not look like in a low carbon future. And this process normally should help to get to another vision, because sometimes it's easier to find gaps and critics and limits than to get to the perfect visions of the future. So star busting, I don't want to mix it with the hackathon. Star busting. I will check. I will check which one is on the catalog, and anyway, we will share with you the list with the advantages. We created a benchmark of all these possible tools with advantages and disadvantages for which one that we will share, and we will fill with your suggestions also. So I'm sorry, I don't have the exact answer now, but it's really similar to hackathon. It's on the process of innovation. 10x, we don't work too much. No people. Yeah, this is possible. I agree. Okay, we can just another few minutes on this. If there's any other, might be fun, easy to break the ice and allow creativity. Yeah, we have two completely different suggestions on the same tools. This is interesting. Yeah, it's true. Okay. If there is any other advice on this, any other option? Yeah, the interesting part of the Disney creativity strategy is that if, for example, the reverse storming is really on thinking about the critics and the limits and what will not work, the Disney, for example, really use all the three groups. One will be in charge of finding the most radical ideas, and someone will be in charge of finding the critics, and someone will be in charge of relating those ideas to reality and have some feasibility analysis to it. Okay, we will fill and complete our benchmark, and we will share it in order to create this catalog where the main goal is to really provide something where every companies of every size of different business reality may find their best option. Something we also have to keep in mind is that when we think about practicality, it also means being able to do web conference, visual conference in this moment where it is not always possible to be physically present during a workshop. Okay, I guess we can end the reverse storming moved. We can end this second activity and get to the third and last part of this strategy process, which is a strategy design. As Antoine anticipated it, we are not yet in the action plan. We are not saying how to do something and when to do it. We are really deciding which are the strategic pillars of the climate strategy of the company. After we defined the long-term vision, here is time to think, okay, what to do. And the tool that will be present in the strategy toolbox is the Blue Ocean Matrix that we can have a look at in the next slide. Here you have an examples of completed. The main reason why we choose to create this Blue Ocean tool is because we want to keep the thinking as much as complete as we can. This is why there will be a list of categories, as you can see, the color legend, that will help the companies really to consider all the aspects of the climate strategy. And those categories will match, will be in line with the ACT Progress Grid, so that we can guarantee the uniformity of the exercise, but also to keep the thinking flexible and creative, and getting outside of the standard reduction thinking. What should we do to reduce these and to reduce that? Here, we're really asking to the company to think about what they can eliminate, what they can rise, what they can reduce, and what they can create. So for example, here, eliminate the support to trade associations with climate negative positions. So here we are in the domain of the policy engagement, and you're thinking about eliminate something, but also rise something that the company is already doing but can do better or at a higher level, and can be the share of low carbon production in the portfolio. So in the domain of the products and services. And what to reduce? Well, example, wastes in the production process. So we are in the management domain. And finally, create climate change management incentives for the teams, create marketing campaign to influence customer preferences, and hoping that this is clear enough, and we will have the answer soon, because we can enter the last quick list of questions that we have for you regarding this specific step. So the design of the strategy pillars. Before passing to the final activity that will take more time, because we will ask you suggestions on a global overview. And we can give you some minutes before having a look to the answer. It will be interesting to know what you think about the team that should be doing this process, these first steps. Should it be the same that started the analysis with the issues and challenges, or should be more operational? And we can take some questions. We can take 2 more minutes for having a look at the results. Okay. Ah non. Okay, a bit less clear than the other one, I guess. It's 8 categories, while there are 9 in the ACT tool. I don't see which is removed. Yeah, good question. Here we merged the investment categories, but it will probably evolve. We will see if there is more interest to keep the 9 categories to really have the same exact match as the modules of ACT. So good points, of course. And I'm really interested in knowing. Okay, so majority, but not as different from the other options for Sustainable Development Department and Operational Team. So here we can see that from the first, well, 53% same team as strategy analysis. So there is still a majority for a new team that should start the process of really thinking about pillars, and a part that it's still suggesting to keep the same team as the first analysis. We cannot see the other options, but we will have a look at it. Okay, so thank you so much. For those who selected not very clear for this third part, if there's any question, I think it's the good time to ask them. Is there anything that could be clearer or?
Yeah, Ilaria, there is a question from Marine Pouget about the ambition of the strategy. But maybe I will leave this question to Lisa, because there's a whole ACT step-by-step approach. In this tool, how does the company know that its strategy is enough in order to be aligned with the Paris Agreement, with the low carbon pathways? Maybe Lisa, if you can provide some answer about that.
Yeah, sure. So thank you, Marine, for this question. Sorry, Laia, I'm going to take this one because the way in the ACT step-by-step methodology we address this question around ambition level is really with the progress grid, which is about the carbon performance assessment. And we have we are working together with Eco2 on this tool, which the objective is to provide a maturity matrix that will support the company in defining its ambition and comparing it with different level of maturity, including, for example, from basic standard to, for example, 2-degree aligned, or the Paris Agreement aligned, or so yeah, this topic is addressed by the progress grid, which is about the carbon performance assessment. And we are providing within that tool benchmark basically for the company to know that the ambition that it is giving itself is aligned or not, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. I just had a look to the other suggestions about the teams that should participate in the exercise. Someone suggested any employee, partner, stakeholder interested. This is interesting to get an external overview, or not just the operational team, on the strategy planning. Okay, great. So if there's no other question, I think we can get to the final and more interactive activity. Okay, so the wrap-up session. Here, we ask you to get out of the specific tools and really think about the whole process. Those 3 steps that pass from a first analysis of the challenges and issues, and then get to the definitions of an ambitions, and finally to really find the strategic pillars that's not translated into the action plan yet. So looking at those all, what you think that should be added, reduced, eliminate, or create to make this whole strategy toolbox fitting your company reality, your business reality. We can use here our Blue Ocean tools. The idea is to fill in with some post-its, so you can add as we did it before. And you can add your suggestions under those 4 categories. Create something. Is there something missing in our strategy toolbox? Did we miss some important points? Can we rise something? Can we add some tools that are missing or that were not enough? Should something be reduced? There was maybe something that was too much, not clear enough. And can something be eliminated? Some steps that are too much, again. So we have the time, we have 10 minutes before the final of the sessions. We can give 5 minutes for this activity and to discuss if there's any question, any other insight to be shared.
So while we are thinking about that, Antoine, you wanted to react on the previous feedback from Olivier about who should participate in this work stream. Maybe if you are okay to react.
Yes, thank you, Edouard. I just wanted to thank Olivier for this complimentary answer, and I agree with him.
Okay, thank you. And maybe just a comment, Hilaria, is it possible for you to zoom your screen in order to be able to
Yes.
see the full picture of the exercise, if you don't mind?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. We have some suggestions. So sharing space. Sector suggestion. I'm not sure I'm understanding what sharing space means. So if this can be clarified, or if someone wants to sector suggestion. Okay.
Maybe sharing space make reference to a SharePoint tool or a wiki tool or something with we can share documents, resources. From my understanding.
Yeah, it can be. So do not hesitate to have some clarifications. Evaluations of existing strategy today highlights the necessary effort to change. And I think this step, this phase, this analysis is more done in the first step of the act, step by step. So when it's the companies has to analyze the current situation. Here we are really on the constructions of a new one, or the structurations of a new strategy. Give examples of company strategy in the same sector. Use CDP database. Yes, this can be interesting. We are thinking about including for every step of the strategy toolbox some examples. So something that has been done for other companies. This can be for the Blue Ocean, but also for the SWOT metrics. But yeah, it can be interesting to have other company strategy, like to take those as suggestions and not start from.
The CDP database is a good idea, but it's not free. So it can be difficult to use, at least to have access to all the responses.
Database of typical categories. A database of typical categories and proposals to help companies to fill up the stools. The DB could be regularly updated with recurrent items. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I think, can I just add something? Because when I'm reading the answer, I'm thinking, so really the objective here is to design a strategy toolbox that will help the company truly embed a low carbon strategy within its business strategy. So we do not want to create like a separate process. We really would like this process to be part of the business strategy, like development or redesign. So yeah, that's the objective here. And that's why we're asking those questions, is to make sure that what we design will be useful for company as they think about their business strategy and integrate decarbonization as part of their strategy as a business.
I think in the create box, we have a clear a clear need of suggestions and inspiration. It's clear when we see keywords to have links to other projects or sector suggestions or give examples. It's clear that there's a need for inspiration to guide a little bit more the company's strategy. This is really interesting. So thank you for all the contribution. Rise, a quick reminder of the existence strategy today. Yes, guess this is similar to the first suggestion that we have. Okay, and we have a clarification for the sharing space, a space where we can explain our result action KPI. Okay, I think it's files. Yes, I think it's in line with what you said.
Is it like a forum?
Yes, I guess so. Or is it some documents where the company can explain for every steps what they did and what they get to? Or is it really a forum where a company can exchange and share their processes? Link relation between these three activities. Yeah, I think so of course here we presented the tools, but one full document of methodology will be provided. And I think that when looking at this document, the links between the three steps will be clearer. Here we really, in this presentation, we were really with an approach of looking at the separate tools and commands and criticize them one by one. But I feel like once the methodology will be completed and explained on a full line, it will be more clear how those three steps interlink between each other. Cooperation with other stakeholders. Yes, here, yeah, for our strategy process here, it's really internal. It's really within the business activity. And it's true that at any moment, there is a step where collaborations or contact with other stakeholders is asked. Yeah, this is interesting. Importance of people in the implementation as change is at the center of the initiative. Yes. And how do you think that this can be better integrated in the strategy steps or in the strategy toolbox? It's interesting. If there's some more clarification that can be added to this post, that would be very interesting. And we have raise awareness on necessity to address all value chain, including supply chains and customers. Yes, agreed. The categories that will be presented in the last steps when designing the strategy pillars will be really including all the steps of the strategy. And yeah, I agree. It's important to be clear about how complete this should be. And fear of change. Someone felt there's some fear of change in this process, probably. Well, I'm sorry to say that we are ending our time. We are getting to our hour. So this was very interesting. So thank you for all of you for all your contribution. And just before saying goodbye to everyone, there's just one quick question about how did this workshop go? Because we have 4 workshops in front of us, and really the goal is to get these as efficient, as clear as we can. So we still have time to take all your insights and do this better. And I thank you, all of you, for the participation, and see you to the next workshop.
Okay, thank you, Ilaria. So like you said, our next workshop is going to be on the Tuesday, the 10th of November at 2 p.m. again. And we will be discussing about building a concrete action plan. And we will send to you the recording link, so you can watch the replay of this webinar. You can also share the replay of the webinar with colleagues and people who might be interested. We also will be sending registration link for future workshops, so you can already register to those workshops. So we've got number 6 to 8 happening until January. And you can as well share those registration link with people you think might be interested. So thank you everyone for participating, and we'll see you on the 10th. And yeah, I can share with you. I can see someone is asking about records of previous session. So I can send that as well if you want in the email to participants. So the record of all the previous workshops. Thank you and have a good end of your day.